Kathy, thanks so much, and thank you for not reading that bio on behalf of everybody who's here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of today's proceedings and of your really good work. We were chatting over lunch about how important the work that you do is. We were talking about how there was a time when an HR professional was the person who kind of kept the personnel files, right? And now it's just so much more than that. And so I have a couple of things today. There are a bunch of reasons that I'm really delighted to speak with you. One is I want to thank you for the work that you do. And that's just not a sponsor trying to get you to like him while he's speaking. I'm a Y kid. I've been a Y kid my whole life. My kids have grown up in the Y world. My wife is now the chief volunteer officer of our YMCA. We believe absolutely, completely, deeply in the work that you do and that you enable. The mission of the Y is, I think, truly transformational in our society. And it's a society and a community that needs healing. Our communities are broken and in many, many ways. And my sense is that the Y is uniquely capable of transforming society into a better, more civil, more hopeful place. So I appreciate and thank you for the work that you do. That's kind of one. Two, I want to congratulate you on what is kind of a newfound idea in the YMCA world, but it's just really a new articulation of something that's been true forever. I was in Salt Lake City last summer when Neil spoke about the three parts of the YMCA mission, and I was standing when lots and lots of people came streaming out of the room, and a lot of people said, wait, I get youth development, and I certainly get healthy living, but what is this social responsibility thing? You know, this third leg of the stool. And I have to tell you, I don't think it's the third leg of the stool. I think it's the whole stool. I think it is what we are uniquely called to do in our mission. And it's what makes the work we do so meaningful. You know, if you were an HR director for a good, strong, for-profit corporate organization, you had to be very disciplined about the work that you do. You had to be quantitative about things like salary studies and the strategic use of human capital. And if you did your job really well, then what you accomplished was the enrichment of a shareholder. That's really what happened. Here at the YMCA, if you do your job really well, here's what will happen. You'll save the life of a child. You'll rescue a community. You'll solve the most important social issues facing the world. That tends to focus the mind, it seems to me. And so I want to thank you for that work that you do. I have had the opportunity, as Kathy said, to lead a social enterprise for the last 13 years. I'm proud of the work we do at the Redwoods Group because I think we're helpful to you. I think you allow us to be helpful, and that's great. But there's another part of what we do. We are a certified B corporation. What that means is we're a for-benefit corporation. People say you're not for-profit or for-profit. We are for-benefit. We did not start the company to make money. We started the company to serve others, to improve the quality of life in the communities we serve. Does that sound like anybody you know? Okay, our business model is your business model. Serve others is at the top. Just beneath that, for you and for us, is make a profit. Now, I know you don't call it a profit. You know, it's a fund balance or it's surplus. What it is financial viability. A social enterprise has a couple of things that it has to have at its core. And you are social enterprises, and we are a social enterprise. One, its mission needs to be solving the most important problems facing their community. The most important problems. And then two, it has to be financially viable. Because if we're not financially viable, we can't fulfill our obligations to all of our stakeholders. Not our stockholders, our stakeholders. Our communities, our employees, our members, all the folks that depend on us. That's how a social enterprise thinks about things. And so thinking about it as a social enterprise has helped me to kind of feel about our collective work differently than I would otherwise have thought about it. Let me give you an example. I serve on the board of a series of foundations. And so I'm sort of a grant maker. I get a chance to, and I know I'm going to get an awful lot of applications as soon as I walk out of this room. But as a grant maker, I get to look at requests to support work all the time. And I have to tell you, I've been doing this now for probably 7 or 8 years, intentionally and with some regularity. And it has been a very, very long time since I've seen a grant for work that's not important work. Truly, I never look at a grant and say, why are they doing this? Every time I look at a grant request, I think this is really important work. And so what differentiates for me one grant request from another is not, is the work important? It is the important work done well? Is this important work done well? And what that means is, can the organization execute on what they're saying? Can the organization's work move to scale? Is the organization collaborating effectively with others so as to create efficiencies and drive down frictional costs? Those are the things that we're looking for. It isn't, is the work important? It is the work done well? And increasingly, and here's where you all come in, increasingly the issue around doing the work well is, are we doing what we said we were going to do? From a safety perspective, we think all the time, do we have the right protocols? Well, most of us have the right protocols, yet at the end of the day, a child is still touched inappropriately, or somebody drowns. And what that means is, protocols don't save lives. Practices do. And when there's a gap between practices and protocols, whether it's in how we supervise a locker room or how we greet a member at the front desk, when there's a gap between what we say we're going to do and what we do, that means we're not executing as well as we need to execute. So now all of a sudden we're not talking anymore about risk management or safety protocols, we're talking about performance management. Performance management is what enables strong, sustainable, good execution. And that flows from a culture of accountability. And organizations that are great organizations, by the way, for profit, for benefit, not for profit, doesn't make a difference, are organizations that have a culture of accountability. I believe in a really lean performance management model. I think that you set expectations clearly. I think then you're very intentional too about removing barriers to success, right? Let's make sure that we're either adequately staffed or our staff has the right skills or we have a process that allows them to do what they're supposed to do, but we remove barriers to success. I want to take 1 second on this. Nobody that works for the YMCA any place in the whole United States ever gets in the car in the morning, puts their keys in the ignition and thinks, let me try to crater the organization today. That doesn't happen anywhere. Every day they get in the car, they want to succeed. Everyone wants to succeed. And so if they are not succeeding in their role, it isn't because they don't want to. It's not a matter of motivation. Invariably, it's a matter of some other barrier to their success. And as HR professionals, it's up to us, once we've set clear expectations, to remove those barriers to success. If it's skills, we do training. If it's process, we fix the process. Once we've done those things, then it's real simple. We celebrate successes or we fix failures. In other words, we hold people accountable. Set expectations, remove barriers to success, hold people accountable. That's all we're really trying to do. And what's really important about this is, if all we're really trying to do is to build a new gleaming fitness center in a white suburb, then this isn't all that important. If all it is about fitness centers, then I'm not here talking to you. It's not about building new fitness centers. It's about changing the world. Bobby Kennedy said in 1963, moral courage is one of the hardest things in the world to find, but it's more important than intelligence or bravery in battle. It is the most important commodity in changing a world that yields most painfully to change. People in our communities are undereducated. They have inadequate access to housing and health care, to good education, economic opportunity. Not too far from here, just tonight, there will be somebody sleeping under a bridge. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. Our communities are broken, and the YMCA has the unique power to convene communities to solve those social problems. We will not be able to do that unless we execute effectively. And we have challenges. Obviously, we have relatively high turnover because we have a lot of part-time folks or we have a lot of seasonal staff. That's not good or bad. It is, but we have to work through that. We have a lot of low-paid staff. We have a lot of first-time young supervisors. We have a lot of remote programming. All these things are barriers to effective performance management. Any consultant in HR would come and say, whoa, you have all these things that you have to overcome with your leadership and supervision? Well, we have a secret weapon. We have a secret weapon. And our secret weapon is, we have people who care so deeply that they can overcome huge barriers if we help them. And so all we're doing as HR professionals is helping people to live out their dream of mission, to do what they care most deeply about. And we can't expect them to get over impossible barriers. That's why we have to work on those kinds of things. But we have the opportunity to help them, to enable them to serve. Now there's some challenges to do that besides all the stuff, low turnover and remote programming and all that kind of stuff. Most of you I know are adequately staffed and your people are paid well over market. I just want to see if you're still listening. I get that we have inadequate resources. One of the most important elements of a social enterprise is that we're not constrained by current resources. We're not constrained by current resources. We can talk about this later in some of the learning circles, but I honestly believe that we have the ability to stop child sexual abuse in America. I mean stop it. I'm not talking about moderate it. I mean stop it, because we know how it happens, and I think we can stop it. And I think there are a few things that have to happen in order for that to take place. And if what we say is, boy, we could do all those things, but we don't have enough money, then another 100,000 kids are going to be sexually abused next year. So I believe if we say, here's what it is we're going to do, and we're deliberate about building models of success, and we build discipline plans for accomplishing what we want to accomplish, then we will be able to find the money to get this done. I've already had conversations with foundations who are very interested in funding this kind of work. The money will be there. But a good social entrepreneur is not constrained by current resources. If we believe deeply in what we're doing, we're deliberate about doing it and measuring impact. I didn't say membership numbers. Measuring impact. If we're deliberate about that, then there will be people who also believe in our work and will help us to fund it. That's what we have to have the vision to accomplish. That's where we have to get to. Now, by the way, there are a few things we have to make sure we're doing along the way. We have to make sure we're completely focused on that mission. And we're not diverted by short-term other things. Wendy Kopp, who's a friend of mine who started Teach for America, is always frustrated when people want to know how many teachers do you have in classrooms. Because she says, you are what you measure. She doesn't want to measure how many teachers she has in classrooms. Do you know what she measures? What Teach for America measures is how many of their alumni commit their careers to public education. That's how you change public education, and so that's what they measure. And so we have to make sure we're measuring the right things and we're measuring mission impact. That's one. Two, we have to be very conservative in terms of how we manage our organizations financially. Now, I understand we've been through a very difficult time, but some of us went through a more difficult time because we had overused debt and not reserved against volatility. Now, that's not easy to do, but we have another opportunity now to do that. We have an opportunity. I'll be in NATO not too long from now. I'm talking to development officers, and we have the opportunity to raise money for salaries, for benefits, for mission work, not for bricks and mortar. And so we have to be careful not to get diverted and to be very conservative financially. We have to make it very clear that in order for, Maslow taught us this, right? In order for people to think communally, they have to have their most basic needs taken care of. Somebody who's worried that they're going to lose their job or that they can't take their child to the doc can't think communally. That doesn't make them bad people, that makes them, I don't know, people. Right? That's what's important. So we have to make sure that we build a nurturing, robust, sustainable employment environment. Because from that, people serve mission. Hugely important. Okay. I'm here to talk to you because I believe that's what you're doing. I believe that's what you're here to talk about. I believe that's why this fellowship exists. So each of you can help your organizations be even better than they already are. I am constantly inspired by the work of the YMCA. My family benefits directly from your incredible, selfless work. 50 years ago, Dr. King was talking to a group of pastors at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and he was talking about how badly damaged communities were at that time. And they were, and they are. And so I'm going to use his words today. What he said to that group at that time is, our problems are enormous, but we can fix them. Let us not be tranquilized by the narcotic of gradualism. Thank you so much for having me today.